Atletico didn't just beat Real Madrid, they dissected them. 5 goals, a stadium roaring, and a project that suddenly looks more fragile than anyone dared to admit. If you thought this season's Real were bulletproof, tonight's story says otherwise. And the most brutal part? The scoreboard isn't the most painful lesson. This is the match where Diego Simeone held up a mirror and made Madrid watch. A 5-2 that felt heavier with every minute, not because Madrid lacked stars, but because they lacked the shape to protect them. The alarms were loud, the patterns were clearer than ever, and Xabi Alonso's response after the final whistle quietly told you what comes next. Adapt fast, or the same trap will spring again. Madrid arrived like a machine. New ideas, fresh energy, and that familiar aura. Then the derby happened. Atletico flooded the middle lanes, slammed the doors on Madrid's flow, and hit with ruthless clarity. Lenormand set the tone. Sørloth wouldn't stop asking questions, and Julian Alvarez turned small windows into wide-open doors. By the time Griezmann signed it off, the message was already carved in stone. This wasn't a weird off night. It was a tactical reality check. But that wasn't the whole story. Simeone didn't reinvent himself, he refined himself. The base looked like a 5-3-2 that morphed to 4-1 when Madrid tried to create width. The center stayed compact, the distances were short, and the trigger was simple. As soon as Madrid's pass map tilted, as Atletico jumped the lane, attacked the space behind the fullback, and arrived with numbers. It was old-school discipline with modern transitions. Little pockets of chaos sculpted to their advantage. The plan didn't neutralize Madrid's stars. It isolated them, forcing Vinicius and Mbappé to sprint at walls instead of windows. When Madrid hesitated, Atletico didn't. And that's where Madrid's own shape betrayed them. On the whiteboard, Madrid's in-possession picture promised control. 3-2-5 lanes, an extra man at the back to start clean, interiors pinning the half spaces. In practice, the hybrid drop, with Tchouaméni stepping into the line, left midfield light right when possession was lost. The result? No shield on the first counter pass, a vulnerable zone 14, and center backs getting pulled into ugly decisions. If your structure asks one man to be a 6 and a CB in the same heartbeat, your rest defense can vanish with a single mistouch. Atletico saw that hinge and kicked it open, again and again. The scoreboard, though, says it louder than any chalk talk. On the whiteboard, Madrid's in-possession picture promised control. 3-2-5 lanes, an extra man at the back to start clean, interiors pinning the half spaces. In practice, the hybrid drop, with Tchouaméni stepping into the line, left midfield light right when possession was lost. The result? No shield on the first counter pass, a vulnerable zone 14, and center backs getting pulled into ugly decisions. If your structure asks one man to be a 6 and a CB in the same heartbeat, your rest defense can vanish with a single mistouch. Atletico saw that hinge and kicked it open, again and again. The scoreboard, though, says it louder than any chalk talk. Every goal felt like a chapter title. Lenormand's opener set the physical tone. Sørloth kept cutting at the seam, the kind of run that punishes indecision. Mbappé and Arda Güler hit back, proof Madrid can create danger from almost nothing. But structure beats moments when the tempo belongs to the opponent. Then Julian Alvarez happened. Timing, anticipation, cold finishing. When Griezmann added the final brushstroke, it read less like a shock and more like a verdict. Atletico weren't lucky. They were organized, and organization travels. Still, games are won on the touchline too. Once the lead stretched, Simeone slid the block deeper, refreshed the wide legs, and made the pitch feel small. That late shift back toward a 5-man wall wasn't a retreat, it was a trap. Madrid got the ball, but not the space. Every circulation felt like running uphill in sand. By the time fresh attackers chased turnovers, Atletico's counters looked cleaner than Madrid's build-up. It's the classic Cholo paradox. Invite pressure to create pressure, then punish the recovery. Madrid's circulation quickened, the risk went up, and the scoreboard did the talking. But names still matter in the aftermath. A derby autopsy always searches for villains. That's lazy content. The real note is roll fit under stress. Fullbacks left isolated versus diagonal runners is a systems problem, not a personality flaw. Center backs forced to step and chase without midfield cover will look worse than they are. And when your keeper is deciding between a brave pass or a safety launch because lanes are clogged, distribution becomes a symptom, not the disease. The criticism is fair, the causality matters more. If Madrid keep asking one player to play two positions at once, highlight reels will keep turning into warning signs. So where does that leave the project? Xabi Alonso called it what it is: a step backward that can become a step forward if the structure tightens immediately. The take is simple and uncomfortable. Madrid's ceiling is still enormous, but the best teams won't be beaten by moments alone. Solve the rest defense hinge, protect zone 14, and decide whether the hybrid is a luxury or a staple. The good news? This squad has the profiles to adjust. The bad news? Everyone just saw the blueprint to hurt them. That is exactly why Alonso spoke about rhythm, adaptability, and learning under fire. And there's no time to rehearse in private. A long flight, an unusual venue, and a team that smells opportunity. Kairat Almaty. It's not just a group stage date, it's a stress test. Can Madrid impose themselves on unfamiliar grass with travel in the legs and noise in their heads? Beat the trap there, and you calm the narrative. Stumble, and every opponent copies Atletico's script. For a project that wants May, it starts with September's corrections. The lesson is brutal and beautiful. The game always tells the truth, if you're brave enough to listen. Simeone didn't just win a derby, he wrote a manual on how to slow Madrid's heart rate and speed up their mistakes. Madrid aren't broken. They're unfinished. Fix the hinge, narrow the distances, and the talent will do the rest. Till then, the league just learned a new word for Madrid's weakness: space. Your move, Xabi.